We are on day 5 of our Camel Training Mini-Series where we, Tara
and Russell,
are teaching you short, insightful camel training lessons to help you get started with the Camel Connection Trust-Based Camel Training, which is our signature camel training method designed for you to be able to tap into the camel psychology so that you can better understand the camel. And in this episode, we are decoding camel misbehaviour and aggression. Love this topic, probably my favourite. 99% of the time, a camel is displaying aggression or, in quotes, misbehaving. They are actually doing it for a good reason. There are actually hundreds of reasons that a camel will display aggression or misbehaving or any behaviour that's deemed to be not good by the human. But we only have time to give you just a few reasons. And I guarantee you probably learned something new here. So let's dive into decoding camel misbehaving and aggression.
Okay, well, the first point is, well, similar to ourselves. All right. Are you feeling well?
Are they feeling well?
Are you feeling well? Are they feeling well? You know how it is. When you're not feeling well, you're not at your peak. Okay, and you might be grumpy, aggressive towards others. You want your space.
Might be the weather.
Yeah, it could
might be
all sorts of things.
A calf,
all
a baby
sorts
camel.
Of reasons. Yep. So you cannot tell how a camel is feeling by just looking at them or looking at their poo.
Yeah. It's true. You can't tell how a camel's feeling by looking at the poo. But for some reason, it's a popular thing. People send you a picture of camel's poo. Like, my camel seems off. Here's a picture of its poo. That's it. Anyway, that's a nice little pro tip.
Yeah, so, I mean, just think, okay, is the behaviour because of something that you can't see?
And this is when the camel psychology can come in. I mean, are they lactating? Do they have a car for them? How's the weather? Is it windy? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Is it too sunny? Is it not sunny enough? Like, there's so many things, and it's so important to start thinking like a camel.
So leading to that point, if they're not feeling well, ask yourself the question, do they have worms? All right? Get them tested for parasites. Tara, you're huge on this.
The thing with worms in camels, and you probably may have heard on this podcast already, that they are very dangerous to camels and they make a camel feel quite sick. And even though they might not seem sick on the outside, they look healthy, they look well, they seem happy, on the inside they're actually really struggling. And I have seen this, and I've had to turn around and say to this student, just, you've got to stop training for now and get this camel's health up to a level where they feel good before trying anything new, because it was just getting to the point where that camel was just getting aggressive because it just did not feel well. It was just biting and lashing out in other ways, and nothing was going right with the training, and so we just got them on a health plan basically.
Yeah, definitely. I love this one. This one that I'm coming up with, this next point. Yeah. Just want to ask everyone a question here. Has anyone ever worked in an environment, a workplace, where there's more bosses than what there are workers? Where the organisational structure, meaning that there's more people telling you instructions of how to go about your job, and rather than just simply one good, strong leader. Ever had that? Have you been in one of those workplaces? And
or
it's
even a
frustrating. Believe me, I've been there.
I've been in a voluntary situation where there was like all these leaders and, going in different directions. It was like, okay, I just need to know what I need to do.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the strong leader side of things. And that's this next point, okay, is the camel getting confused because you're using so many different methods from various sources, or you're just following one strong leader that has a structure in place for that workplace, for want of a better word.
And I suppose a good point with that too is maybe there's too many handlers doing too many different things. Yeah, like one handler is doing one thing and the other handler is doing the other thing, and these camels are becoming aggressive, they're misbehaving, you might have to pull them from the operation altogether, but it comes down to just that camel confusion. They're so unsure now that they're fearful And what happens when a camel's fearful? They come out as they can come, produce the aggressive behaviour and all this misbehaving, I don't want to do it behaviour.
Behaviours, yeah. So, yeah, just think about that, okay? When looking at a camel's misbehaving, okay, is it just confused? All right? And there might be reasons why that is.
And the next point is, are you being consistent with what you're asking and how you're asking, which really does go into the point we just covered. But consistency is key. If you're asking a camel to sit and you're using the word whoosh, and then one day you're like, I'm going to try the word gumboot. Yes, they will get it eventually, but you're just making the journey a lot longer than it should be. And that goes back with, if you are in a commercial operation, there just needs to be standard operating procedures. This is how you ask the camel to sit. This is how you ask the camel to lead. This is how you saddle the camel. This is how you do all these standard, what they call SOPs, standard operating procedures, so that camel knows what to expect every time. Because if they don't know what to expect, they feel threatened.
Yeah, definitely. And also, do you really know your camel's history? All right, you don't know where your camels. I mean, if you're buying a camel from someone, all right, and you've seen an ad on Facebook or something like that, whatever it might be. Do you know the camel's history or the relative camel history? What sort of training methods have been used on that camel, where that camel's come from, all sorts of questions. Most of us won't.
Oh, and sometimes even the buyer doesn't know the history or thinks they know the history, but it may, basically the point is you don't really know what your camel's history is. No,
that's right. And therefore, unlike you're wanting to, do the best by your camel, with the training and all that sort of stuff, okay, you're wanting to, that's why you're listening to this now, okay? Not everyone is like you. And as we know, occasionally in the newspaper or something like that, you get, cases of people that have mistreated animals and stuff. There's people that go to those other extremes. So, if a camel's misbehaving, a new camel, to your life, could it be because of some sort of past trauma, of handling or methods used on it? I mean, these questions, I'm only just offering these as questions that, could come to play. Always question
a camel's misbehaving or aggression. There's always something else going on. And the next point is has the camel been bottle raised? And if they have been, do they have good and established boundaries? Because they will, even though it's a super friendly camel and you can do absolutely anything with it, these bottle raised babies can get aggressive because they don't understand boundaries. They've never been showed. And one thing that camels love is leadership. And if they don't have it, they're confused and they will just misbehave.
Yeah, it's a bit like kids, isn't it? Really,
totally like kids.
And like kids, I mean, if a kid comes all the time asking you for the lollies and
don't know what that's like.
Yeah, or sweets, lollies or sweets, whatever, and no one's ever taught them no, and they've allowed it to always happen, then perhaps those kids might also become quite demanding for their sweets, if they see some.
Which goes into the next point. Is the camel being fed treats by hand over the fence? Are your guests doing that? And then someone gets bitten and you wonder why. This camel was so beautiful and friendly.
Or is pushy.
Camels are very motivated by food. But you don't want to use that in any sort of training because you can have accidents like this, biting or anything. They will do anything. They'll crawl over broken glass to get to the next best tasting thing.
That's very true. Yeah. And another one, I mean, if you've got a cow, I mean, are they pregnant or do they have a calf?
Because they change.
Yeah,
they get more
protective.
So you've got to consider that. My camel's just started biting. She's pregnant. It's like, well, there you go. I would bite too if I was pregnant.
Would you bite if you were depressed?
Oh, possibly. Because that's the next point.
It is, yeah.
And the next point is is your camel depressed? and a bit stressed out. I mean, do they have a mate that they can hang out? Do they have someone in their paddock that they can hang out with, preferably another camel, a non-human species that they can hang out with? Because remember, camels are herd animals. It's instinctively built into them, so you can't build that out of them. They've got to have a mate with them. And as we always go and bang on about, we always say another camel is ideal and actually makes it easier for future training.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you've got another camel, then they're not bored, are they? They've got someone else of their own species to talk with. So, again, another point here is, are they bored? Is your camel bored? Therefore, perhaps misbehaving a bit or not stimulated enough. Now, be careful with this one. All right, be careful with this one. Not stimulated enough does not mean putting in all sorts of toys and stuff like that, and to make the camel move.
Because
work is good.
Camels are camels.
Yeah, work is good for
camels. And really, this is more common with the younger camels, sort of between the age of 1 and even up to 5. Is they can often start just mouthing, and like all of a sudden a student will come just go, oh my god, my camels start mouthing me, starting to bite, and it's like, well, they're probably looking for stimulation. So do more training, do more handling, because that is a stimulating activity for them. Which brings us to our next point, really.
No, it does.
Have you established that bond and connection?
Yeah, look, that is the number one key here of misbehaving or aggressive behaviour, or decoding it anyway. Has that camel got a bond or a relationship with you? Does that camel actually care about you?
Do they want to hang out with you?
And likewise. So, have you got that bond?
And the final point we want to make here is, are you using camel psychology in their training, or are you mixing in other species training methods?
Oh, gee, that's huge,
It's a pretty common thing.
Huge, yeah. I remember when I first started and I had my first camel, and this is, like many lifetimes ago.
A bajillion years ago.
Yeah, it feels that way some days. There I was trying to, what I knew of some horse training and getting some information from people
you were doing
dealt
dog
with
training
cattle,
stuff.
and I was trying to do dog stuff, and I was trying to do and just stuff that worked with other species. But guess what? Camel is not a dog or anything else, or a horse. Okay, camel's a camel. They use certain psychology in their training. It works.
So that's just our few points. Like we said, there are hundreds of points on why a camel can be misbehaving and showing signs of aggression. But these are just a few for you to start. I hope you're starting to get a feel, and actually this is how a camel thinks. And so listening to this, you're on that starting journey of tapping into that camel psychology. That's what these lessons are all about. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about training camels to respectfully walk on a lead. Not any camel can walk on a lead, but to get it done respectfully and not camels running over the top of you and the camels not pulling back is a whole other ball game, and that's what we're going to cover in tomorrow's lesson, day 6 of this Camel Training Mini-Series. But before you go, have you signed up to be on our email list, which is absolutely free? Because we are announcing a special announcement, which we have never done before. And we're only going to announce that in email. So we want you to be signed up to our email list so that you don't miss out on this, because let me tell you, if you're listening to this now, you're obviously interested in camel training, so you're not going to want to miss this announcement. You can head over to camelconnection.com/sign up, being one word, and get on our email list so you do not miss that announcement. And tomorrow we'll see you, or we'll talk to you about training camels to respectfully walk on a lead.
Fantastic. All right, catch you later. See you later.
Bye.